what's alive? What came alive for you in playing with this stuff? What did you like? What did you not like? What worked for you?
The biggest thing I'm doing, sir, is he's apparently doesn't in the training basically the same we do, and so being able to start to move his down his toes, actually being able to let things manipulate in front of him, so he doesn't have to force his way to make things happen.
Sure.
I think he's getting a lot more input on what's really going on, what can happen, instead of trying to force me where he wants me to go.
Well, that's it. It's a big field. We limit it down to a narrow, tight little foundational scope of issues and elements and ways to proceed, and we masked it in terms of, oh, these are the way you got to do it so you can learn it. But that's not what it is, what you wind up with. We tend to think that because you learned it this way, that's what it is. But it's not the same thing as how you learned it. How you learned it is how you learned it to get where you're getting, but where you're getting ain't where you started. Now that's really good.
You learn to write, well, Sensei, you learn to write in cursive by learning how to write block letters first.
Yeah.
You know, so you learn A. Remember your big red tablet in your cheap thing?
Right.
A. You don't write an A like that anymore, do you?
That's right.
I said my mom died from the alphabet.
The alphabet again!
And like a lawyer,
Well, I couldn't draw a metaphor that used numbers.
Right.
Do you have to start with block letters?
well, you got to sell the jury.
Yeah. It seems to me that yeah, often Aikido can feel like, well, we're learning, we get in a phase of learning it that's about just conforming to the set of principles and preferences and foundational material, the katas and the exercises and the general outlook and perspective that's being handed to us from the tradition, whichever lineage or tradition we're coming out of, and whatever system of understanding it's coming out of. And then we can stay very locked into that, like a set of blinders that can keep us confined. And eventually, yeah, the blinders come off and you go, damn, you can do lots of things. There's actually lots of damn ways to skin the cat, you know? It's not just the A, B, C, D. When I first learned this technique, Hiki-taoshi that we're working with, I learned it. It was, I remember the focus in my mind had a lot to do with twisting this wrist over. Seemed like that was a big deal. And the twisting the wrist over thing doesn't always succeed at twisting the shoulder. And the shoulder, if I get control of that right off the bat, with a little bit of this fire thing, which is more what Eric was doing right off the bat, the shoulder's already gone, well, cool, and it's loading his foot, already cool. But I have ignored his wrist. His wrist is his problem. He can do whatever the hell he likes with his wrist. The wrist doesn't really get interested until we get all the way out to the locker and he falls over backward and we break it off this way. Doesn't matter too much. But the wrist comes in late in the game, which was true of Kodogaeshi too. When I first learned Kodogaeshi, I thought, man, it's all about grabbing this wrist and twisting it. Well, it's about causing his body to get distorted and at the very end of grip at that wrist, but at the end, not at the beginning. It's like the grasp that does this part happens like way, way, way late. And if you practice with it, gripping it early, you send so much backward signal to them telling it's coming that they get to ride along for it and say, oh, really? You're really planning to twist this wrist here in a second? Good. I think I can do things about that too. But if the wrist is never stimulated at all until the very moment, bing, it suddenly appears as an inopportune moment, then it amplifies the effect. And I go, wow, that's pretty cool, because the grip only comes in right at the end, and suddenly they fly through the air. And all these years of going, damn, I want him to go down, why didn't he go down? Start making sense, because I'm sending signal too early. The signal is getting to his nervous system way before it needs to be there, and versus nothing. Something. When the something happens, it happens just at the end. It's a little pulse. And so this activity of turning on and off things starts becoming interesting. And then what you said with the on and off, because for a long time, it can feel like everything's about turning it on. Now you give them the pulse. Now you give them the impulse. Now you put the little grip on. And so that's what's doing it to them. And you can become really fascinated with that for a long time and think that's what it's all about until you realize Russell's lesson of, no, something really cool is happening when you turn that impulse off. When you have the stimulus and the load on me and then you relax, when that relaxation happens, you're sending a proprioceptive confusion to your uke that's even worse than any sort of pulsing can ever be. Because if he is ready for a pressure relationship to be here, and he's situated around that relationship, and he's organized his body to absorb that relationship is going to failure, the lack of signal itself becomes catastrophic. If he anticipates pressure and the lack of signal, yeah, just never was there, it becomes catastrophic. If I'm walking in to hit him and I changed it at the end so it became just a collapsing function, it becomes catastrophic. It's effortless power is what it was described as. And it's literally just that. I mean, people think that's a metaphor. It's not a metaphor. It's not a metaphor. It's an actual physical delivery of confusion to the nervous system of the other guy. It's not power. But it's a delivery of confusion and effect to the other person by turning the power off, by going from a relationship that stores tension to a relationship that doesn't. And once it's bad, then you can store tension again. Cool. And that's pretty neat. Thank you. Nice, okay.